Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome everyone. We are reading from Bhagavad-Gita chapter 16 entitled Divine and the Demoniac Natures, verse 6. Dvabhuta sargo lokasmin Daiva asura evacha Daivo visthara prokta Asuram partha me shrinu Dvabhuta sargo lokasmin Daiva asura evacha Daivo vistharaha prokta asuram Asuram partha me shrinu Dvabhuta sargo lokasmin Daiva sura evacha Daivo visthara prokta Asuram partha me shrinu. Word to word meaning. Dva, two. Bhuta sargo, created living beings. Loke, in the world. Asmin, this. Daivaha, godly. Asuraha, demoniac. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Daivaha, the divine. Vistarasaha, at great length. Prokta, said. Asuram, the demoniac. Partha, O son of Pritha. Me, from me. Shrinu, just here. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O son of Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Purport. Lord Krishna, having assured Arjuna that he was born with divine qualities, is now describing the demoniac way. The conditioned living entities are divided into two classes in this world. Those who are born with divine qualities follow a regulated life. That is to say, they abide by the injunctions of scriptures and by the authorities. One should perform duties in the light of authoritative scripture. This mentality is called divine. One who does not follow the regulative principles as they are laid down in the scriptures and who acts according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric. There is no other criterion but obedience to the regulative principles of scriptures. It is mentioned in the Vedic literature that both the demigods and the demons are born of the Prajapati. The only difference is that one class obeys the Vedic injunctions and the other does not. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpa tarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Before we start the class, I just wanted to do a small offering. Many years ago, I got the first opportunity to do a Bhagavad-Gita class. That's because of Sureshwar Prabhu, who recently passed away. And I'm so grateful that he always encouraged me. And I was studying Bhagavatam that time, and then he said, if you're studying, you should also be teaching, and you should also be sharing that knowledge. And when I was allocated for the first class, I told him that I got the first class, and he told me, "Did you write to your spiritual master to take the blessings?" I said no. So he said, "You should write immediately." So I wrote to my spiritual master. My spiritual master was happy and he gave me blessings. So, and then recently when the memorial was happening, His Holiness Vedavyasa Priya Maharaj was telling how Prabhu, before every class, he used to actually write to his spiritual master asking for blessings. And I thought it was such a deep thing, nice and deep thing to see a devotee is so simple, honest, and stick to parampara. So I am so grateful that, today I have this opportunity. Out of many Vaishnavas, he's also one of the reasons. So yeah. Now we go into today's class. This is Bhagavad-Gita. Sorry, please bear with my cold. I just have some flu. So we are in the chapter 16. So we have come quite along, like 16 chapters. And then if you see how Krishna opens this chapter, there is a seed verse before opening into this chapter, like into the 15th chapter at the ending. Krishna says, he talks about the importance of scriptures, like following the scriptures. Then in the 16th chapter, he opens and gives a description of 26 qualities which are divine qualities. And then he assures Arjuna that you are not demonic, you are divine. You belong to the divine category. Now we see the characteristic of Arjun. Arjun, like how Prabhupada is writing, one who follows the injunctions in the scriptures and by the authorities. Why is Krishna putting him in the divine qualities? See, basically he's showing those qualities, that how he is abiding by the scriptures and following his authorities. Even in the very beginning of the Bhagavad-Gita, in the very first chapter, when he observes the armies on both the sides, and he becomes confused and depressed, and still he's stating from the scriptures, why I don't want to fight. And what if I fight, what kind of consequences would come? So he is a man of discrimination because he is well trained in the scriptures. So divine follow the scriptures and demons don't. So this is a simple way. So not necessarily that demons should have, the teeth coming out or two horns or, Anyone who follows the instructions of the scriptures and authorities, they come under the category of divine. Now here Prabhupada also writes in the purport saying that duties have to be carried under the light of scriptures. So the scriptures should describe what to do and what not to do. And we should follow what to perform and what not to perform. So by studying the scriptures, we develop that strong discrimination. Then, now what does scriptures contain? Knowledge, there is an aspect of knowledge even in the material world. But that knowledge is not exactly referred as Vedic scriptures, right? Why? Because it's still very much pertaining to the body and the mind. It is not really helping us go beyond this material body and the mind. But the Vedic scriptures, although they address the needs of the body and the mind in the form of varnashrama system, in form of the prescribed duties, still has a higher goal. It's going beyond the body and the mind and reinstating the conditioned soul in the constitutional position. So the scriptures are beyond the boundaries of mundane physicality, sociality, and also societal and any kind of rationality. And Vedic wisdom is universal, and it is in appeal, and it is intimately related to us. Because it is dealing with the core of us, who we are. And this knowledge stands unaffected from the timeless times, timeless ages. That we are not the body, we are not the mind, but we are the spirit soul. It doesn't matter whether we are in Kali Yuga, or Dwapara Yuga, or Treta Yuga, or Satya Yuga. This knowledge stands as it is. So that's why we have to take shelter of the Vedic wisdom. Now, before we go into the discussion of scriptures and its importance, I really thought that it's good to go and see the benefits the role of the scriptures, the benefits of the scriptures, and why to follow. We'll discuss on this one. Let's turn to the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. This is chapter 12. Brahma is doing the secondary creation. Now, in the part of the secondary creation, Brahma has to create ignorance. Right? Why is ignorance important? Because unless there is ignorance in this material world, the living entity cannot accept the material conditions of life. So that's why Brahma is forced, in one sense, to create ignorance. And ignorance has 5 features. And what are those 5 features? This is stated in 3:12:2 verse. Sahasra chagre andathamishram athatamishram adikrita mahamoham cha tamas cha yagna vritaya. So tama, the 5 features, one of the features of the ignorance, tama means darkness of the self-knowledge. So we forget who we are. Jivera swarupa hoy Krishnara nityadas. But we have forgotten in this material world. You go outside and you ask, everyone will relate to their designations, right? Who are you? I'm a man, I'm a woman. Who are you? I'm Indian, I'm Pakistan, I'm Bangladeshi. Who are you? I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I am something else. So everything is all about external designation. Or you can say, I am poor, I am rich. I'm intelligent, I'm dull. I'm beautiful, I'm ugly. So everything is related to either to our mind or to our body. But actually, as Krishna's servant, we all have forgotten. Now, the second feature of the ignorance is moha, illusionary bodily concepts. Now, the jiva, it is traveling in 8.4 million species of life, right? And in every species, it's identifying with its own body. There is a famous story that we hear often, how Indra, once he was cursed to become, get into hog's body. Now he was so happy in the hog's body that he was having his family, playing with the piglets, And Brahma comes and tells him, no, you're not this, you're Indra. No, I'm happy with my piggy wife, my piglets. I don't want to come here. So this is how the illusion is so strong. And Krishna also says, Daiviyesha gunamai, mama maya durataya. It's very difficult to overcome illusion. Now the third is mahamoham, false proprietorship. Are we possessive? Do we feel possessive about everything? About the people, about the properties, about every little thing? We become very possessive. But actually nothing belongs to us, it belongs to Krishna. Once Srila Prabhupada's disciple came to Srila Prabhupada and he said that, I'm renouncing. Then Srila Prabhupada said that, what are you renouncing? In the first place, nothing belongs to you. The understanding that nothing belongs to you, everything belongs to Krishna, that is real renunciation. Then fourth, tamishram, anger upon frustration. If someone objects, our happiness, our sense of enjoyment, then we'll become angry, right? Like if you see Bhagavad-Gita 2:62, Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishya Pumsa. First we are contemplating, then we develop attachment, then there is lust. When the lust is not fulfilled, the next thing is anger. So we are continuously going through this Icha and Dvesha, like a pendulum we are moving. And then if we don't get what we want, we end up into hatred or anger, Dvesha. And the fifth is Andatamishra. This is an unconscious state brought about by anger. This is nothing but the sense of death. No one wants to die, but everyone has to leave the body, right? The jiva doesn't want to die, but everyone have to leave the body. So Brahma created ignorance as a matter of necessity, right? But at the same time, when we see the origin of the scriptures, how did scriptures come? At the dawn of the creation, Brahma was sitting, he was puzzled. He was sitting on the lotus flower of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And he's puzzled. What am I doing? Who am I? What is the purpose? Then in the waves, he hears 2 syllables, tapa, tapa. Then he sits and he meditates for 1,000 celestial years. And finally, Krishna was touched by his devotion and dedication, then he comes and he reveals the knowledge. So this is how the Vedic knowledge has come from Krishna himself. So out of 8.4 million species of living entities, only human beings, demigods, and sages have an access to this Vedic knowledge. No one else, right? Some of the species, not all the species. So how fortunate that we have an opportunity to get to study the scriptures. And what do scriptures do? Scriptures, first of all, they are not the products of human intelligence. They are not the products of our common sense, right? They are the words of God. And they are about the 4 defects of the condition, life. What are the 4 defects? They are about the imperfect senses. They're about the committing mistakes. And they're about the cheating propensity. And they're also about illusion, to be on the illusion. So these scriptures, these Vedic scriptures describe the true nature of the living entity, the nature of Krishna, and the material world and the spiritual world. If we see in Bhagavad-Gita, 7th chapter, how Krishna is talking about, inferior energy and superior energy, right? And in 8th chapter, he's going to talk about how this material world is ashashvata dukhalayam, and at the same time, he gives a glimpse of the material world, spiritual world, where he's talking about that is unperishable, imperishable. And again in 15th chapter, he talks about spiritual world, right? How it is not illuminated by sun or a moon. It's always bright and effulgent. So these scriptures gives us an understanding of who we are, who is Krishna, what is material world, what is spirituality, and what are the characteristics and personality of Godhead. Now, some people may ask, how are these Vedic scriptures relevant in the modern age? I belong to 21st century. Why do I need to believe this, right? Is it not just a mythology? Have you come across anyone who says that, no, we don't want to believe? Even people who come to Vrindavan, when we are doing book distribution, we show Bhagavad-Gita, we show Krishna book, or we show any other Srila Prabhupada's books. They say that, no, this is all mythology. Are Baba, you are in the same place where Krishna performed pastimes. And then they tell me that they went to Govardhan, they did the parikrama. Okay, did you see Govardhan hill? That's the same thing which Krishna lifted. No, this is all mythology. So why are you here? Oh, just we are spending some weekend. So see what kind of ignorance is prevailing. And, So, in reality, scriptures is offering a timeless knowledge from the beginning of the creation, how the creation is coming, to the point of having pastimes of Krishna, right? Now, what should scriptures do to us? Why is it important to study? Studying scriptures is not about getting information. Studying scriptures should allow us to have a transformation, right? It's not about how many books we read. It's about how much we transformed and how much we're able to develop love for Godhead, right? Love for Krishna. Now, Krishna himself says, Arjun, I am telling this knowledge, I am revealing this knowledge. Why? Because you're my Sakha, you're my Bhakta. You have this qualification, that's why I'm telling you. And then whoever hears this Bhagavad-Gita, they should also be inspired to become Krishna's devotee. That's what it is. It's not a scholarship entitlement for us that, we should have scriptures and then we are scholarly. And they give a mature and refined vision to see people, to see circumstances, to understand the material world. Krishna says in 14th chapter, I believe, Chastra Shakshusha, like he's telling that you see the world through the eyes of the vision of the Shastra. Now, what is that shloka? 5:18? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Hasti Kavi Pandita Samadarshana. Now, how is the Pandit? How do you know he's a Pandit? Because with the virtue of the knowledge, he became so humble that he's able to see the living entity in all the given species. Whether it's a dog eater, a Brahman or a cow or an elephant, he's able to see the living entity. This is knowledge. But today we go to, I did go as well, to school and college and universities. But no one teaches us about, to distinguish different from the body and the mind. It's all about, how do you make it more comfortable? But hasn't the Vedic scriptures have it? Also, Vedic scriptures also talk about the regulation, right? Krishna talks in 6th chapter, Yuktahara Viharasya. You regulate your work, your sleeping, your eating, and your recreation. So scriptures is not minus of the material life. But Vedic scriptures is basically taking us, giving us that maturity to understand that the purpose is beyond eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Now, if you see the background of scriptures in the written form, in Satyuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Treta Yuga, there was no notepads like how Mataji is writing some notes. There are no recorders like how we are recording the classes. They're Shrutidharas. They listen and then they can recite. That's what we have seen. Sukadeva Goswami, he heard and he was reciting 18,000 verses. Wow, that's really something, Now sometimes I can't even remember one complete shloka. I have to go through several times. But in Kali Yuga, you see the opposite of that nature. People are misguided, people are short-lived, they're less intelligent and not very strong intelligence. So for them, seeing the nature of degradation of the people's qualities, Vyasadeva, out of compassion, he divided one Veda into 4. Rig, Sama, Atharva, and Yajurveda. And not only that, he compiled Vedanta Sutra. And then he wrote Mahabharata. But he was not happy. If we go to the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that dialogue between Narada and Vyasadeva. And in his despondency, he was trying to find out why I'm still not very happy. I thought I have done good enough for the people. I made it easy. But why I'm still not happy? Then Narada Muni, the teacher, comes and he says that you haven't given the highest scripture, which is glorifying the Supreme Lord. Then he, in his mature realization, he compiles the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the very second shloka of the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam talks that dharma kaitava projita. It's kicking out all kinds of religions, the ideas, and it is straightly taking us towards the lotus feet of Krishna, right? No other motivation. So this is what is the goal of the scripture. Krishna also says in 15:15, Vedesya sarvam ahame vedyo. You study all the Vedas not to make your material life comfortable, but to understand Krishna. Who is Krishna? Why I have to have a relationship with Krishna? Now, benefits of scriptures. Scriptures, by reading scriptures, one becomes satisfied. Have you noticed it? We become more stable, we become more satisfied. 10.9 Bhagavad-Gita, Machita Madgata Prana. Like the devotees, what are they doing? They're coming together and they're associating and then discussing the pastimes of Krishna. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25-25, Satam Prasanga Mama Viryam Samvido. The devotees are coming and they're discussing the pastimes and the holy names. And they're satisfied in the heart and in the ear, they both. And they're moving towards the liberation and then breaking knots of the bondage. And also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's another shloka, Nigama Kalpatarur. It is the juiciest fruit because it gives us that sweetness, that taste to go higher. So this is one benefit, we become satisfied. Second is conviction. Scriptures gives us inspirations, they build faith in us, and also they help us to go through the grueling experiences of the life. Like for an example, Dhruva Maharaj, he was just 5 years old, but he has to face the envy of his stepmother.
How cruel is that? But envy exists, right? Even to a 5-year-old, we can hurt them, right? Today, there are so many slaughterhouses are open. Why the slaughterhouses are open? Because we are envious. We want to enjoy. We want to be the controller, right? Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu is putting him to all kinds of miseries and difficulties. Why? Because he is envious. He was not able to control his mind and senses, whereas Prahlad is already, is on a Paramahamsa level. He controls his mind and senses. He is not bewildered by the dualities. Or Yayati. Yayati is moved by the lust, right? So we see, when we see through all these, when we study the scriptures, we get an understanding, okay, these are difficulties that I'm also going through, And how do I go through? How do I learn? Like an example of Dhruv Maharaj, we'll go back to that example. When he meets Narada Muni in the forest, Narada Muni tells him, Dhruva, you're just 5 years old. Just go, engage in sports. Why do you need to grudge upon these things? And then he gives a sutra, Whenever you meet your inferiors, treat them with compassion. Whenever you meet your equals, treat them with friendship. Whenever you meet your seniors, you meet them with respect, right? But what do we do normally out of envy? We deride the inferior people. Oh, you're so useless. You have to depend upon me, right? And equals, we envy the equals, right? We somehow or the other, we want to pull down. We want to see one mistake and just pull them down. And seniors, we don't respect them. We try to find faults in them. So when scriptures are there, see, this is a very difficult time of Dhruva's life. He's just 5 years. But because Narada is teaching something he learned from his father, Brahmaji, and he knows the Srimad Bhagavatam, so he's revealing that knowledge to Dhruva, so that he can maturely act. So the scriptures develop that conviction that, I can be different. I don't need to be in the rat race, I can stand strong. And also, as I said, they give faith-building experiences. How Krishna will respond to Dhruva, he can also respond to me if I'm sincere, isn't it? So they're very faith-building. Then scriptures also teach regulation. That's what we were talking about, how Krishna is teaching how to be regulated in the material world, how to develop spiritual balance. Now Krishna is not telling, he's not giving the knowledge of Gita to a brahmachari or a sannyasi. He is talking to a man who is an army man. He is on the battlefield, he has to fight. Now what is Krishna saying? Yuddham cha mam anusmaram. Think about me and fight, right? You are doing your material duties, but spiritually what you should be carrying out, you have to think about me. Then Bhagavatam is also an inspiration. It creates inspiration in us. Like Arjun. Arjun was confused. And he almost was in depression and he's into tears. He broke down. But after hearing to the entire Bhagavad-Gita, he says, my illusion, the moha is gone. I'm ready to act. So that inspired him to act in the dharmic way. And if you see Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to like a sun. Puranar kuno adunoti. Like it provides the spiritual light to the lost vision of the Kali Yuga people. When Krishna left, all the dharma and religious principles and knowledge and renunciation, they left with Krishna. So, Parikshit Maharaj, I think this is still Sutta Goswami and the Naimisharanya sages. They were asking, how will Kali Yuga people be benefited? Don't worry. Krishna has come in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Srimad Bhagavatam will give the vision. And it will act like a sunlight, because there's so much darkness and there's light of Srimad Bhagavatam. And study of the scriptures brings purification. Srinvatam swa kata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridaya antasto bhadrani vinudoti shrut satam. So here Krishna Sukadeva Goswami is saying, maybe Sutta Goswami, Sutta Goswami. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and benefactor of truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So reading scriptures, it brings purification. It brings a transformation of our heart, intelligence, mind, and false ego. It also removes sinful disposition, right? And the Srimad Bhagavatam also removes tapatrayo unmulanam. It removes all kinds of threefold miseries. Now, can you tell me what are threefold miseries? Anyone? Adi-daivik, Adi-bhautik, and Ajatmik. That means miseries caused by our body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by the material nature, right? Now, how is that we read scriptures and it's going to remove all these threefold miseries? Anyone?
आपके प्रश्न का अर्थ थोड़ा स्पष्ट नहीं है।
कोई बात नहीं है. So, now in the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Tapatraya Unmulanam. Like the Srimad Bhagavatam is going to uproot the threefold miseries, right? So how is it going to do? It equips us with the knowledge and the maturity, how to deal with these disturbances. Like you see, Bhagavad-Gita 2:14, Matra sparshas tu kaunteya, sitokshna sukha dukkata, agama panyo nitya, tam stitikshva bharata. Krishna there is telling Arjuna, happiness and distress, they come like winter and summer. Don't get distressed, just tolerate. See, there's a knowledge, like an aspect. How do we do it? Because happiness is for sure, distress is for sure. You have to learn to tolerate. So, diseases come, old age comes, janma mrityu jara vyadhi. It will be coming, but we have to tolerate it. We have to accept it. And it also teaches how to live in this world, how to leave this world. So, in that way, it is removing the threefold miseries. And scriptures also gives answers for many of our questions. The most common question, people ask, why do good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people like me? Isn't it? Many people ask this question. But they don't, unless and until you're exposed to scriptures, how do you understand there is a huge karmic cycle that you're bringing from births and births and births, right? Who are you? No one knows about it. And so many existential questions are also answered by the scriptures. And scriptures helps us to be empowered. They help us to become the humble instruments in the hands of Krishna. Krishna says, become my instrument. Now, in what sense we have to become an instrument? Right now, Srila Prabhupada's marathon is happening. So each one of us, we are becoming an instrument, right? We are trying our little best to serve Srila Prabhupada. I mean, if you haven't exposed to Srila Prabhupada books, why would you distribute books to anyone, right? In the first place. If you don't know the importance, you would not give to anyone. Somewhere we were touched by Srila Prabhupada's books. And that's why we were empowered, either in big way or small way or whatever. We want to serve this mission, right? And also it protects us, scriptures protects us from going into, like how Prabhupada is writing in the purport, that one doesn't act on the whimsical. Like, today I feel like this, so I do it. Tomorrow I feel like this, I do it. No whimsical behavior. But we learn to act like 1624. Krishna says, one who studies the scripture, they will be able to know what to do and what not to do. So, and also it protects us from all kinds of Mayavadi, Sunyavadi philosophies, atheistic doctrines, and it protects us from Ritvikism. It protects us from going into apasampradayas, right? If we are not studying scriptures, we'll get very easily swayed away. Especially in Vrindavan, every nook and corner, we have so many different spiritual paths happening. They all look the same, but they're not the same, isn't it? then how can we protect ourselves? I know one of my, just a friend, not very good friend or best friend, but a friend, she got swayed away because someone said that, you didn't have everything in your books. We have much more in our books. But how is that? If you open Nectar of Devotion, who can understand those intricacies of the chapter 20 onwards? Satvik vikharas, satvik bhav, vyabhicharik bhav. There's so many intricacies. Ujjwala Nilamani, I cannot understand. Even Bhagavad-Gita, I struggle to understand even now. So we have to continuously keep reading, otherwise we'll get swayed away. Now, application of the Shastra. Now, as I was telling that, sometimes we keep reading Shastra for a long time, but still we think that, I haven't become a Paramahamsa, I haven't become a pure devotee. So for this, I want to give you a small story. This is published by His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj in one of his Saranagati newsletters. There was one little boy, and he used to see his grandfather reading Bhagavad-Gita every day. So one day he was very intrigued that I want to read Bhagavad-Gita. So he picks up a Bhagavad-Gita, he sits next to his grandfather. He's turning the pages for 1 hour, but nothing goes into his mind. Then he asks his grandfather, what should I do? I'm not able to understand. You are reading with so much sincerity, you have so much love. But I am also flipping the pages, but I don't find. Then the grandfather says, okay, there is a basket. Go to the river, bring some water, and then I will give you the answer. So the boy picks up the basket, he goes to the river, and he brings back. But there was no water in the basket. Then he says that, no, you haven't tried hard enough. No, go quickly, bring again water. So now the boy runs very quick, and then he comes back. Again, there's no water. Now, again, grandfather says, no, you haven't tried hard enough. You should go again. Now he runs faster, much faster than before. He goes to the river, he puts the basket, he brings back nothing. Now, again, grandfather is going to say something. No, I'm not going. I'm not bringing any more water. So grandfather says, no, I'm not going to ask you. But did you see, every time you're going to the river and you're thinking that you're bringing water, but actually what you're doing, you're washing the basket. That was a coal basket. So sometimes, we may not become pure devotees at the very first instance, but something is still happening. Our hearts are getting, as Krishna says, abhadra. All the abhadra is getting removed. It's so imperceptible that we might not have noticed it. But the moment we get on to preaching to people, then we notice, yes, I moved from that thought process to this thought process, isn't it? So this is something, that's why we need to apply Shastra, like reading continuously and trying to apply. Now, Srila Prabhupada also says books are the basis. Now, everyone in ISKCON is sleeping, but Srila Prabhupada wakes up in the middle of the night. He is translating Srimad Bhagavatam. And not only that, Prabhupada has faith in these books. Now, if you see Markane Bhagavad Dharma prayer, when Prabhupada just got down from the Jaladuta, it's recorded in Jaladuta diary. Prabhupada quotes, I want to read those shlokas. Now, Srila Prabhupada writes in here, he's quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 17 to 21. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayantastho hi abhadrani vidunoti shrutsatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki tada rajasthamo bhava kamalobhas chaye cheta eter anavidham stitham sattve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogita bhagavad tattva vijnana mukta sangasya jayate Vihanti hridaya ghantasti chindanti sarva samshaya krishanti chasya karmani drishte evatman nishware. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and the loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as an irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of the nature of modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and then he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by the contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all the misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. This is just, Prabhupada has faith in the words of this Srimad Bhagavatam. When he saw the people on the Boston Harbor, he saw that there was people are, just covered by ignorance and lust. But because Prabhupada has faith in the scriptures, and he took 200 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, that's the only possession Prabhupada had, right? But see that faith, how it has expanded into such a worldwide movement. And also, this is the mood and the core heart of our entire Guru Parampara. You see, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he established Gaudiya Math, there is a logo made, and in the center of the logo is the printing press. And he instructed Srila Prabhupada, if you ever have money, print books, right? And then the same motive of that is the same core of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He published teachings of Lord Chaitanya and he dispatched it to the Western countries. I think it's Canada. So talking about importance of scriptures, Vedic scriptures, now is a very wonderful time that we are in, that we are going through the Srila Prabhupada's marathon. Now, we'll see a little past time, how this marathon ever came. This was the first marathon in ISKCON. It happened for 3 days, December 22nd to 24th, 1972 in Los Angeles. And devotees distributed 18,000 books in 3 days. Wow, that was like wow. So, and Rameshwar Prabhu, he wrote back to Srila Prabhupada saying that what happened. Actually, I want to read something more interesting before we go and read Prabhupada's letter. Now, this is Rameshwar Prabhu. By 11 o'clock, the store was completely dead. I got into the car and started driving back because the stores were busy, bustling with Christmas, shopping for Christmas. So Rameshwar Prabhu and all the devotees, they went out to distribute books. So at 11 o'clock, the shops are getting closed. So he started to return back. On the way back, I passed another Jodi's called Hollywood Jodi's on Sunset and Western. I was torn whether to stop or not because that store was crowded and was going to open until midnight. But I decided, no, I will go back because the other devotees will be waiting up to see how many books I distributed. So I just kept driving. I finally arrived at the temple about 10 minutes to 12. And I burst into Sankirtan room. But the only person there was the secretary, Madhukanta. I said, oh no, everyone went to bed? He said, no, nobody is back yet. I was the first one back. That was the discovery of the first Christmas marathon. It was completely unplanned. No one had ever instructed anyone to stay out that late. We just did it spontaneously. Finally, about 1:30 in the morning, all the devotees had returned and we were all sitting around looking at the Sankirtan map. We couldn't sleep. We were so excited to go out. We were thinking, where can we find plenty of conditioned souls to distribute books to? Our noise and rushes laughter was like a drunken party, and it woke up Karandara, who was sleeping in his office in the next room. He came stumbling in, wiping the sleep from his eyes. But when he saw us and saw what was going on, he burst out laughing and sent us all to bed, saying, "Get ready for tomorrow." So in this way, we performed the 3-day marathon, December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. No one had ever distributed as many books before in the history of our movement. A big day had been considered to be somewhere between 25 to 40 books. But we were distributing between 5,000 and 6,000 pieces of literature a day for the 3-day period. One temple has distributed almost 18,000 pieces of literature in just 3 days. And this is the time when Srila Prabhupada was in Juhu, and there was the land dispute, and Prabhupada was very disturbed. And Rameshwar Prabhu writes this marathon, about this marathon, and Srila Prabhupada writes to Rameshwar Prabhu, "My dear Rameshwar, I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated December 27, 1972. And with great happiness, I have read your figures of amount of books sold during 3-day period, December 22nd to 24th, 1972. It was scarcely believable that more than 17,000 books could have been sold by one temple in 3 days. That indicates to me that people are at last becoming little serious about this Krishna conscious movement in your country. Otherwise, why they should buy our books? But they can see that our boys and girls devotees are so much sincere and serious to distribute the message of Krishna consciousness. They are at once struck by seeing them, and therefore they appreciate and purchase. This is unique in the world. So I am so much pleased upon all the boys and girls in Los Angeles and all over the world who are understanding and appreciating this unique quality of our transcendental literature. And voluntarily, they are going out to distribute despite all circumstances of difficulty. By this effort alone, they are assured to go back to home, back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada is very pleased, with the promotion. And we can save the scriptures only by sharing with others. In the past time, when Devaki was locked in the Kamsa's jail, Krishna was already in the womb of Devaki, and Devaki became very effulgent. No one was able to witness it. Why? Because she was in Kamsa's jail. There, Srila Prabhupada writes that, similarly, if the knowledge is not distributed, no one can get it. So we have this opportunity as part of the Srila Prabhupada's marathon. In any way, we can do Shastradhan, we can inspire someone to do book distribution, we can cover up their services, some little way, big way, small way, no problem. We go out and we try to distribute some books. Although I said few things about the role of scriptures and importance of scriptures and benefits of scriptures, I do lack and I do have a lot of shortcomings, but I beg for blessings that I can also apply what Srila Prabhupada has given to us and embrace. So if there are any questions or comments, if there were any shortcomings or mistakes, please do forgive me. Are there any questions or comments or anything anyone wants to add? Yes, Prabhuji.
It is said that with the gunas, we are slowly giving up tamas and rajas, becoming more sattvic. So it is a progression, slow progression, very slow in some cases. And the qualities of the demons and good people, divine, is that really a spectrum that we're aiming towards the divine and trying to give up the divine?
Okay. I hope I did understand. Is it the spectrum that we are aiming for? We are aiming for Jivara Swarupahoy Krishnara Nityadas. This is our main aim. And along as we practice bhakti, these divine qualities will come. One side is it will be automatic. On the other side is that we have to put an effort. How is this automatic? Because, we will develop humility. If we really study the scriptures, we will understand the effects of the modes of the rajas and tamas. and we want to associate with people, or we want to get to the mode of goodness. So in that sense, it will be automatic. But also we have to put an effort. But the aim is not just to develop divine qualities, but the aim is to become Krishna's servants. Yeah, that's my humble understanding. Like we see the example of Vritrasura. He was in a demonic body, but he's still a devotee, you know. So again, what we are aiming is definitely we want to become so close to Krishna, like Arjuna. Yeah, if you don't have any more questions or comments. Thank you so much. Please do forgive me for my shortcomings. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama